Hello and welcome to week one of the iRacing Grand Prix Series here at Silverstone. And we've got 60 laps of action for you today here on Apex Racing TV. I am Sam Fitzpatrick, and alongside me is Marco Barbanera and Scott Newton on the cameras. And Marco, you of course you covered quite a bit of racing throughout this week. If anyone's been following our channel too much, but these cars, I would say, are possibly the most difficult on iRacing, not just to drive, but to set up as well. And, it's going to be a big effort for these drivers to keep that intensity up through this entire 60-lap race.
Yeah, you're right. Good day, everybody, and welcome to Silverstone. I had the honor to call the fan stream for the World Championship yesterday, and today the weather threw us a curveball because we have cloudy, overcast weather. The track is a little bit colder, so I'm very, very eager to see how this is going to play. We saw yesterday a lot of the cars were able to follow each other, but they were missing that final burst of speed in order to make the pass coming into the corners. We will see if today, due to the colder track, the cars will have better exit from the corners, so they will be able to follow better down the straight and then try to make a pass coming into the corner.
Yeah, we certainly hope so. And hopefully not too many kind of EOS and DRS chains that is a factor in the World Championship Grand Prix Series. But yeah, hopefully today we should see some good racing. Of course, this is week one of 12 in this series, and of course, hopefully, we'll be covering every single round. And this is a bit of a unique one. Got a full Grand Prix length, the whole 60 laps, rather than the 2/3 that we usually see. And I think that could be quite interesting, Marco, in terms of these drivers. A few of them, I imagine, maybe not have done this length before, and you know, this is this is pretty much what the real life drivers do, and it is very difficult. And the strategy is going to play a massive element, of course, as ever.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday with Alex Simpson, and he said that basically now the tires are not nearly as long lasting as they were before. And so this will mean that with a race length like this, we are going to see, I think, at least 2 pit stops from every driver. I don't know if somebody is going to try for 3 stops, but some of these drivers will not be used to the fact that these tires basically have a huge cliff and then they go down. And when they go down, you really, really need to go to the pits. And also, you are very vulnerable to an undercut from the driver behind you. So you have to be very aware of what's going on around you, because, like we saw yesterday, passing on the track could be tricky. Again, with the colder weather, maybe a little bit easier, but still, it's very, very difficult to pass. The DRS zone is not that big, so having a good corner exit sometimes is not enough, and the pit strategy will play a huge part in winning the race. And the drivers who did race yesterday, for example, we see now Kevin Ellis Jr., may have a little bit of an advantage over the guys that are just trying this race first time today.
Yeah, potentially. Of course, yeah, Kevin Ellis Jr. and Michael Parkinson, the two World Championship drivers out there. They're currently first and fourth in qualifying. Ellis Jr. with a lap time 0.2 faster than that of Harrison Finch. What were the strategies yesterday, Marco? Was it 2 stops and maybe some 3 stops? Because, of course, we've got to factor in the temperature today and a few less cars than yesterday, so the track shouldn't be quite as warm as well due to that. But you think then that should be kind of 2 stops for pretty much everyone. Do you think a 1 stop could be possible, or is that, completely ridiculous?
I think that 1 stop is almost impossible. Maybe somebody will be crazy enough to try the 3-stopper, but we saw yesterday everybody was on a 2-stopper. So I think that this will be the way to go for all the drivers on the track.
Yeah, I think so. And now we are lining up on the grid, and we can take you through your grid as well. Kevin S. Jr. on pole position. Harrison Finch joins him on the front row in second. Manuel, also Manu Domingo in third. Michael Parkinson in fourth. Jose Montañez fifth. Matteo Calistani in sixth. And Andre seventh. Victor Prieto in eighth. It's Joseph Fabian 9th, Nicholas Rasmussen in 10th, and it's Rob Bohr, Stefan Schmidt, Rinaldo Augusto, Benjamin Lindsay, Jan Brezina, Kleber Toffoli, Luca Furlich, Pablo Lumbu. I think you're going to have to give me some help with that one, Marco. And then Michele Constantini last. Yeah, 18th position.
Yeah, Pablo Lumbreras Suarez, and no time for Michele Costantini, the IndyCar champion, trying his hand to a new category, moving up this time around the Formula One.
Yeah, certainly good to see him around. And we should have about half a minute more of waiting before the cars get underway. Because the cars lining up around Woodcar. I swear that start-finish line is too far back. I think in real life, I think they used to be a little bit further forward than that. But yeah, we'll wait and see. And of course, it's so important that Kevin S. Jr. gets the start he wants and gets a good run through the Maggots and Beckett section. Just waiting for a couple more drivers to line up. Jan Brezina and Michael Parkinson just waiting to get onto the grid. And I think we are now ready. So, Kevin Ennis Jr. on the pole position. And they're revving up the engines and the green flag is out. And Ellis Jr. gets off to a pretty good start. It's not a good start for second place. Harrison Finch drops down the order. But it seems pretty clean for everyone. Domingo goes up 1 and Finch down 2 positions already. As they swoop through Maggots and Beckett's now. A brilliant start for Kevin S. Jr. Way away from the field already. And Finch is under pressure already from Montañez just behind. And can he look to the inside? Maybe come Montañez. There's a little bit of battling just behind as well. And Finch having to go right to the inside, going into stay. And he does well to fend off that one. Also a great start for Jan Brezina, up 4 positions. He's the big gainer. And just going down the inside was that. Just a little bit wide for Prito there. And yeah, Andre, I think a little bit wide as well. But pretty good start, and especially a good start for Kevin S. Jr., Marco.
Yeah, great start. Is looking to pull a gap immediately, and we see everybody behaving more or less. That is good because we saw a little bit of damage with these cars. Is race over. Very aero sensitive, of course. Everybody knows that. The trouble spot in the first lap yesterday was this part of the track here. We saw, unfortunately, one of the Apex driver flip through the air. It looks like everybody is following each other and remembering that they have 60 laps to make up positions. And so the first lap ends, but we see already some great movement left and right, trying to set up a pass, and drivers very aggressively going very wide into the grass, trying to get as much of the track as possible.
Yeah, it's going to be crucial. Already a few gaps seemingly forming on day. To be fair, it is very close up there. And let's see if anyone can really gain from this one. Casino up 4 positions, like I said, 15th to 11th. And he's pretty close on Rob Bohr's tail. But the slipstream effect currently pretty much in effect for everyone. So not too much of an advantage down these straights. And it's nearly going into the back, and there is a spinner. So Jose Fabian, and I don't think he's collecting anyone. Another driver had to go off the circuit, I think. That'll be frustrating for Joseph. And he just seemed to almost run into the back of Brezina, didn't he? And just locked up the rears, and round he went.
Yeah, that's right. Luckily, everybody was very aware and avoided him. So we can see now, I think, on the replay on screen what just happened. Yes, buddy. And he was very, very nice, staying on the grass, going a little bit in the wrong way, but that was the right move to do because he was on the grass and not on the track.
Yeah, definitely good recovery. And yeah, just locking up those rear brakes ever so slightly. We have Kevin S. Jr., by the way, is 2.1 seconds out in the lead. A brilliant start for him. You can see he's streaking away down the hangar straight. Not too many moves looking possible just behind. Manu Domingo looking good, and Harrison Finch not really putting too much pressure on Michael Parkinson. Because a World Championship driver is Parkinson, and doing a pretty good job as well. seemingly kind of scoring the occasional top 25, and hopefully he'll keep his World Championship license for next season. It's certainly looking strong for him at the moment. And in this race, he's holding up Harrison Finch very nicely indeed. Just the DRS zones around here, Marco, is it just down the hangar straight, or is it a couple of other sections as well?
I think you also have a DRS zone coming out of the final corner, but the run down to the first corner is so short that basically it's not very useful. The problem also is that sometimes you have like these big packs of cars. So basically, the first one in line doesn't have DRS, but since it's so difficult to pass, the guy behind him has DRS, the guy behind him has DRS, everybody's got DRS, so nobody is passing each other. That's why I was saying before the start of the race that strategy is going to be crucial with the pit stops, because sometimes having DRS, or I should say most of the times DRS is not enough. I didn't see any DRS sign on the start-finish line, so maybe only on Hangar Straight.
Yeah, maybe, and just you can see down that straight, just no impression really made by. Oh, I think we've got Rasmussen versus Andre just going on. And yeah, here they are. So Enric Andre, is he making that move out on the inside? Can his opponent just squeeze back on the inside? Just had a bit of an overlap there, and Andre had to give him space. Now, can he defend? This is the second DRS zone, I think, and he looks to the inside, covering him off is Andre. Can Bar go around the outside? No, he's on the grass. And he's going to have to hop across the grass. That could cause damage to his car. He should be okay. And just side by side behind that as well, Parkinson. Oh, he's lost out, Parkinson. So I don't know what's happened to Michael Parkinson, but he's lost out massively. And yeah, here was the incident. I say he's. Oh dear, that was a late move. Oh, it's yeah. I think we may have to see that from a different angle. I'm not quite sure, but It seemed as though the move was very late, wasn't it? From Kalastani, I think it was. Was he just a little bit too aggressive there, or do you think that's fair enough? Sorry, it was Finch, wasn't it? He went down the inside.
Yeah, you're desperate to make a move, of course. This early in the race, it could be, they were side by side, but the car on the outside had clearly was far ahead in comparison to the guy that was on the inside. So, most of the times the fault lies with the guy that's on the inside, because he was more than half of the car in front of him. And you would think that at lap 5, maybe should have been a little bit more careful. Of course, it's easy to say it from here, but so difficult to pass. So you can, when you get a chance, you always try to make the most of it. But you can ruin your race, and now we see another huge pack here. As you can see, all the drivers with DRS, one after the other, negating the advantage of DRS, basically.
Yeah, we're watching Benjamin Lindsay. He's got a bit of damage on that front wing. Should be okay. Strangely enough, of course, with the damage model on iRacing, that's going to cost him down the straights. Might not cost him too much through the corners. Of course, hopefully, I do bang on about it, but I'm hoping for the new tire model, new damage model. Sorry, new tire model as well, but new damage model would maybe have some detachable parts, and that would be a great addition. But for now, we've got stick with this, and Lindsay's not losing too much time seemingly, but just ahead of him, Schmidt and Augusto, and Schmidt looking really close on the back of Rinaldo, and now he's got the slipstream, but both of them have got the slipstream. It just takes away both advantage, and can he maybe go down the inside here? On the inside goes Schmidt, and that's a really good move on Augusto. And can Lindsay get involved here? This would be a really late move if he did. And he just has to back out, but that was a good move, wasn't it? Right at the end of the straight, and that's kind of how decisive you have to be.
Beautiful move, beautiful. We are seeing already, and now Lindsay has to. Wow, we've seen already more overtakes than what we saw yesterday. I think partly it's due to the overcast, and also because these drivers are really angry. They really want to prove themselves. Now we see there was a moment there for Benjamin Lindsay. I think it's just his connection playing games. Because
Yes.
for a second I saw him with 4 wheels in the air, so that was not good.
Yeah, hopefully that sorts itself out. Michele Constantini actually up 7 positions. Haven't really noticed him too much, but he's kind of just been able to pick his way through. I don't think he had a terrific first lap as such. I think he may have gained 2 or 3 positions, but he's had to make up another few since then. And of course, that's kind of without the Parkinson. Parkinson's just make a move on Nicholas Rasmussen, by the way. That's for P7. And it's Rasmussen just actually hanging on for now onto that position.
I was talking to Michele before the race, and he was not very confident in his qualifying, and surely enough, he did not qualify. Starting from the back, and he was able to pick his way through some of the drivers. Risky strategy, of course, because you know anything can happen in the back of the pack at the beginning of the race. And now he's trying to hold his own. Maybe top 10 can be difficult. He has to watch behind him because he has a very angry driver in Stefan Schmidt, very talented driver. And this is all new for Michele, of course, coming from the IndyCar. So he has got some kind of road experience, but this totally different beast, of course, from the Dallara.
He's under a little bit of pressure from Schmidt. He's actually looking quite strong after maybe not too good a start. We saw him make that move, and he's not letting Constantini get away too far. Parkinson was able to make that move, by the way, on Rasmussen eventually, and is actually making pretty good progress as Parkinson. Clearly not too much damage on that car, which is good to see, on that number 5 car. And he's actually just got Enric Andre some 4.4 seconds up the road to Andre's having a good one as well, up 1 position from his start place. Here's Rob Bohr. And just going off the track just behind, that's Jan Brezina. He's already had a couple of incidents down at club, and he's going to have to go side by side. Can he get DRS to defend? No, he can't. And in fact, none of them, I think, did that time. And
No.
Brezina did pretty well to defend against that one. That was weird. I thought everyone would have DRS there, but no one seemed to open it. And for now, Jan holds on against Prieto.
Very nice battle here. Prieto goes on the inside. Once again, the Spanish driver, side by side. Brezina has the inside line, but this is far from over, I think.
Couldn't quite nail the exit, could he? Although he is close. Gotta be so brave to go down the inside at Cops. But here he goes. But round the outside goes Brezina, and that's... he's a bit deep, though. And he's going to have to go off the circuit. They're going to be side by side going into Maggots and Beckett's. I think the driver on the outside should have advantage. That was brave. He seemed to cut him off ever so slightly, did Prieto there. But Brezina was a little bit kind there, and in the end, it was a well-formulated move. That move took a few corners to pull off.
Yeah, very, very nice racing, and we see these guys trying to play some moving left and right, and within the rules, of course, to shake off the drivers behind, to not give them too much of an advantage with the slipstream.
Oh, second place is very close, sorry.
Yeah.
And down the inside goes Finch. And Domingo, who seemed pretty easy in second place, has lost that position now to Harrison Finch for Positive Sim Racing. And there he goes. And he's 7.5 seconds behind Kevin Ellis now. But and that'll be difficult to catch that one. But at least he's got that second place and looking strong as Harrison Finch after that not so good start.
Absolutely. Now we have, I think, positive 2, 3, and 4, and 5 track. So they can work, I think, together and maybe try to work out a strategy in order to keep this position.
Yeah, that's certainly looking strong. You can see already that feels pretty spread out. They've got some 12 seconds back to P8, which is Nicholas Rasmussen, who's under a bit of pressure now from Rob Byrne. Burr with the DRS, and he's going to go to the outside. Can he swoop round here? He's going to have to go around the tough weight. Not too many marbles out there at the moment, and that's a really good move from Rob Burr. But can his rival come back now? Nicholas Rasmussen, not quite. Burr having a good run up, 3 positions now, and he's already got past Rasmussen earlier on, and he's already got past Preto earlier on, and now he's got past Rasmussen and up into that P8. Sorry.
We've seen some beautiful moves, and it's only lap 10, and I'm really surprised. Yesterday, the World Championship race, they were all very calm and collected, and they are World Championship drivers for a reason. These guys, they're so angry, they want to prove themselves. We are seeing some amazing battles, amazing overtakes on the outside. I think the weather is helping a bit, but also, as I said, these drivers, they want to show that they belong at the higher level in the World Championship.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of these guys will be preparing for their bid, perhaps, for a season, a next year's spot in the World Championship Grand Prix Series, because the amount of effort it takes to achieve that, you've got to pretty much practice at least 2 seasons in advance. And here's the main battle out there: Jorge Montañez defending against Enric Andre, who's looking very quick right now for Race Clutch versus Positive Sim Racing, or at least that's what the livery shows. And yeah, Montañez at the moment hanging on to that P5, but can Andre now use the DRS coming out of club? He uses it. Can he look to the inside going into the Abbey chicane? He had a half chance, but a little bit deep now for Montañez. And Andre gets the slightly better run, although wasn't really enough. You can go for a move, Andre. I'm sure, 10 years ago in real life it was pretty difficult, but these guys do make it look pretty easy, and he's looking very quick currently, isn't he?
You cannot even imagine how much I missed that part of the track that was sadly lost to the renovation of the circuit in the early 2010s, and just saw the iconic image of going down the bridge and that right-hand corner almost flat out. I really think that the works they've done here in Silverstone have made the track a little bit less interesting. Also, the new part is completely anonymous and boring. But yeah, that I hope they keep this version in iRacing for a long time, because that. And now we see Andre trying to make himself big in the mirrors, feinting a move to the right, then lining back again. He will try maybe here at the chicane. No, stays behind.
Yeah, he's not risking it too much, seemingly, Andre, but not too much defense put up by Montañez. Very respectful between the two of these guys. And again, he's going too far back into Abbey. And he kind of needs to get on with this, because Michael Parkinson, just behind these guys in that last lap, was some 6/10 quicker. So Andre really needs to get on with this one and make the move. And otherwise, I think Parkinson's going to be with these guys any moment. But yeah, I think for everything but single seaters, I think I like the new bit. But I think for multi-class racing, I think this circuit isn't quite appropriate. But I do see your point. I think the new bit, they had a lot of potential, didn't they? But it didn't really encompass the theme of Silverstone, which is, very quick flowing corners. And unfortunately, we've just got a couple of very dull hairpins where you can't actually overtake it, either of them. So it's a little bit frustrating. But yeah, a little bit of a slide down the inside, maybe. Single file through here, of course. That was Rob Broad just getting out of shape, and Victor Preto very nearly managed to get back past. Still, well, actually, this one might ignite in a second, although they've all got DRS. And Andre's got past Montañez, I think. That might be the one to watch, I think. Because, yeah, that one's very close, and Montañez fights back against Andre. And for now, they remain in 5th and 6th position. Yeah, and here was the replay, I think. So Andre went to the inside, and Montañez did so well, seemingly, to hang it around there. And yeah, that was brilliant driving, Marco. And he went to the inside again. Does he need to be a little bit more aggressive, Andre? Because there, he could have really pushed his opponent off the circuit. It was kind not to, but he left in a little bit too much space, I think, and otherwise he could have got that position done.
Well, if he wants to avoid that Michael Partington joins the party. He needs to be more aggressive next time around and make the move. He is faster than the guy in front of him, so I think with a little bit more aggressive maybe, because we see Partington closing the gap. You can see it pretty easily, and also you can check the live timing. But he is coming, and 3 is a crowd, as they say.
Yes, definitely. And yeah, going back to live now. This is Prieto on the back of Rasmussen. And just going a bit wide there. So, sorry, what's that for the move? Sorry, I think that was a replay. And yeah, of course, we can't tell when it's a replay, so we don't get like the graphics or anything. And yeah, just making that move, I think, was Prieto. So, Bohr, after having an awesome run, unfortunately, not quite going his way still currently.
Okay, now I think we are back live. That Prieto has kept his position in front of number 13, Rob Bohr. And he's hunting down Niklas Rasmussen.
Yeah, Rasmussen's kind of just been a constant in 8th place. He's had a few drivers overtake him, and he's kind of had a few drivers kind of have issues, and he's been able to respond. But he's kind of, and a spinner just in the background. That was a positive sim racing car.
Was he going into the pits? See, we see Costantini losing positions, car number 11, and now gaining them back, and now losing them back again. Yes. So I think he's maybe doing some rally cross. He's lucky I'm in the booth and not at the pit box.
Oh, I got a really tight battle now between Montañez, Andre, and Parkinson. Parkinson's decided to join the party, I think. And of course, Prieto still looking close on Rasmussen, but yeah, I think Parkinson might well be overtaking for P6 any moment. Prieto just can't get close enough at the moment to Rasmussen. Would you say this is a particularly difficult circuit because of to overtake because of the turbulent air marker? I think it's one of them where to follow through Maggots and Beckett's it's so difficult. By the time you reach the hangar straight, you're quite a bit behind.
Yes, and maybe it does not suit this particular brand of F1 racing very well, as we see some drivers going into the pits. We see Finch, Calestani, Andre, and Rasmussen all in. Of course, this has been not the original version of Silverstone. That's going through many changes through the years, but still, the cars have changed quite a bit in the past 15, 20 years, and the track mostly has stayed the same until they did the renovation works a few years ago. So we've been here with this particular configuration with the V10s, the V8s, the V6, huge aero, small aero, and sadly the track is not able to adapt to all the little changes or big changes they make. So maybe good for some one particular rule set, and not so good for maybe this one. And we are lucky that we have, I was saying that yesterday, a little less aero than they have right now, because at the very least they can follow just a little bit better than they can right now. You know that following in real Formula One right now is basically an impossible task.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd say, if anything, in these cars, of course, it is a little bit easier to follow than in real life than it was for these guys, because with the power units and the brakes as well, the overheating, if you spent kind of within a second and a half of the driver ahead, within about 5 laps, you'd have to kind of back away. Otherwise, you'd have all kinds of sensors bleeping. Domingo is now in. He was in P2. And these are really early stops, Marco. Like lap 15, we saw a few drivers pit in. Surely in a 60-lap race, if my maths is correct, that means a 3-stopper strategy, which it's a bit surprising. But yes, but it's a bit surprising that so many drivers have gone for the 3-stopper strategy, considering that the track isn't that warm.
We saw some drivers have a two-stopper yesterday with variable stint length, so maybe they did a longer first stint and a shorter second stint, or vice versa. So I'm still holding out on calling this a three-stopper for. But you're right. Lap 15 is very very early, so it's going to be interesting to follow these drivers. Maybe somebody's trying, somebody's a trick up their sleeve, and maybe they can gain some position this way.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see if anyone can kind of profit from this. It seems as though Ellis Jr. out in the lead is gonna stay out there and do the two-stop perhaps. Partington got past Montañez, by the way, so it was Andre who pitted then. Partington and Montañez stayed out, but Partington did manage to get the move, so he's now on P2 on the circuit. But in actual fact, it's more like P5, I think, when all the pit stops play out, unless he's got a card up his, unless that two-stopper perhaps could benefit him later on. He certainly seems to have good pace, still does Michael Parkinson, but he's some 23 seconds behind Kevin S. Jr. And remember, Parkinson has made no stops the same as Ellis Jr. So he's certainly running away with this one currently, is Kevin, and he just needs to make sure the number one car that he stays reliable out there. And here is Partington. Not already pulling away from Montañez. So seemingly that instant earlier on, Marco, hasn't affected Partington too much, because I see very little damage on that car, and he's driving very well and very quick, and seemingly possibly the second quickest driver on the circuit right now.
I don't know, as Kevin Ellis Jr. is in the pits, I don't know if he's going to lose time at the pits, because I think that the front wing is automatically replaced during the pit stop. And these pit stops are so quick because you don't do fuel, you just do tires. I think that Michael will lose a bit of time with the front wing change. And he's in right now, so we will know this really, really shortly.
Yeah, definitely. Would just like to say, everyone, we're live. Sorry about the bit of the interruption, but yeah, it's good to have you all along with us. Yeah, we had a couple of issues, I think, but yeah, hopefully we are live now, and yeah, it's good to have you along for this one, week one of the series, and so far it's been a very entertaining contest, plenty of overtakes and a couple of incidents as well. The main one, Michael Parkinson, just being tipped around earlier on by I think it was Matteo Calastani, but just a move there by Harrison Finch on Rob Burr. We're currently in the middle of the pit stop sequences. So a few drivers pitting now, seemingly on the three-stop, although Mike has already said that maybe they're doing a two-stop and just running a slightly shorter stint. But on a cool circuit like this, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of strategies these drivers implement. But yeah, should be a good kind of 40 laps coming up for us. So Finch right on the tail now of Prieto. Finch has already pitted, and in fact, I think the only a few drivers haven't pitted so far. Kevin S. Jr. did pit, I think, and here comes Finch to the inside, and that was very, very routine for Harrison Finch, and he is up into P3, I think. Marco, is it just Jorge Montañez, Victor Prieto, and I think that's it, isn't it, in terms of the drivers who haven't pitted yet?
Yeah, I think also Kleber Toffoli and Michele Costantini still have pit of the guys that are still on the lead lap, and also we see car number 17 still has not pitted, but he's a little bit back, almost one lap down. The point, I think, in going so long in the first stint is to have little bit shorter stints in the end, which will provide you with fresher tires. But the problem is that you are losing an incredible amount of time to the cars behind you that are already on fresher tires. So now we see a battle here, and Rob Bohr trying to pass Michele Costantini. Michele has not pitted, just like I said before, so he's really struggling.
yeah, look at this. Just round the outside goes Bohr. And all this overtaking for Constantini, losing all these positions, being put offline, that's just going to make this a whole lot worse for him. And there's no point in defending, although this is the type of driver that he wants to kind of fight against later on. I assume, of course, we're thinking then 3-stop for most of these drivers and should be kind of lap 36 to 42 for these drivers, but just going a little bit shorter to start off with. Do you think that might be because of the full tanks, Marco, and you know, starting off this circuit maybe on full tanks, not such a rubbered in circuit, and that's why they're having to pit in quite early?
Maybe. Well, I am still surprised because we saw the cliff of the. I hope that these guys watched the race yesterday, or I am sure they did some testing, so they should know what it is like to run with a full tank. And you cannot, you don't know in advance the weather conditions, but this I think could help them because the track is a little bit cool. So you are not struggling that much with higher temperature. You know that on iRacing, higher temperature, the tire hits a lot and gets a lot more worn out than usual. I understand what they are doing by staying out this much, but I don't understand it because I don't think that the reward is that big. And these drivers, as we see finally Prieto coming in, better tires in the final two stints maybe, but now you have to make a lot of overtakes and it is not easy. We saw today you have to be very brave to make moves.
Well, Prieto earlier on was running around P10. I think he was racing with kind of Jan, Brzezina, and Rob Bohr as well. And by the way, just to confirm, because you were talking earlier, Marco, about Michael Parkinson's spin, and I think he did have to replace his front wing because he lost about 6 seconds more than his rivals, and it's really put him back. He was fighting with Enric Andre and such, but yeah, he's a long way behind them now, so he's 9 seconds behind. Prieto has come out in P10, so it hasn't lost him that much time. He's still ahead of Rob Bohr, behind Jan Brzezina, but that's not too bad for Victor Prieto. He's got got about 1.4 seconds to make up and should have fresher tires, so maybe it has worked out decently for him. But I think that fresh air, maybe by running a little bit longer, I think that may have helped as well, whilst his rivals were busy overtaking the drivers who haven't pitted yet.
You are right. We haven't talked about this. Of course, you can play as we see now, Partington making a move on the inside. The moldy method. Oh, that was really, really close. Maybe not necessary. Banging wheels in a Formula 1 car, and once again.
Oh, they have hit now. Then another incident for him. I hope their steering's okay. And
no!
Was that contact as well? I'm not sure. That was as close as you get. Brzezina going through, and now Prieto, who's just come out of the pits. But Partington, he's having a rough day out there. I thought maybe he just squeezed him a little bit.
Another
and he's
mistake.
Off the circuit again.
He must have some kind of suspension damage, I think. Or the car landed really heavily. We saw maybe it doesn't show from the outside, but I know there's something not right with this car. Let's see.
Can he get the move here on Brzezina? Trying to get it done now. Round the outside he goes, and that time was a hell of a lot easier for Michael Parkinson. Now Prieto with his fresh tyres tries to make the move. Not quite, just has to back out against Brzezina. But he'll have DRS, although so too will his rival coming down into Abbey. He's right on the tail here is Victor Prieto. And to the outside he goes, and he does the dummy, but couldn't quite pull it off. And he's a little bit wide as well, and now he's going to be vulnerable to Rob Bohr just behind you. Was having an awesome race earlier on, but has just lost out a couple of positions during the pit stops and just before the pit stops as well. And yeah, in the end, not too much changes there. But yeah, Partington's not having a nice time of it, and we'll wait and see if he's got any damage. Seemingly, he's pulling away quite handsomely, already a second ahead, so maybe he's okay.
That is quite unbelievable because it was launched in the air. But yeah, he's made his way back to the front of this little pack. he also had a scary moment coming out of turn 1, so his car should be good judging by the way he's driving, and I think that car number 15, Jan Bresina, should be okay as well. I don't see any kind of damage to his front wing, so it was really close, but there was no contact.
Here comes Prieto around the outside of Brazina, and Brazina.
And now
Oh,
there's
another contact.
And the commentator scores.
Can Brazina hang on to this one? Just about. I must say, I don't know why, but it's quite satisfying seeing those types of collisions, just wheel on wheel, just popped up into the air, and Brazina under pressure again. It's going to be Rob Broad, maybe, who's going to really profit from this with all these contacts. And that was even heavier that time, Marco. And seemingly Brazina still not got too much damage, but I'm kind of half surprised because that was quite a big hit.
Yeah, once again, I'm not seeing any kind of damage on the front wing. I don't think he has got any kind of suspension damage, judging by the way he's driving the car. He is not pitting, but sometimes on the outside it looks good, and then on the inside the driver feels that something is wrong. But what this has done, unbelievably, Michael Parkinson 1 lap ago was flying in the air, and now he's 3.5 seconds ahead of this pack.
Yeah, quite incredible. It was important that he made that move because Brazina's not giving up too easy, although to be fair, I don't think he's really done too much wrong. Here comes Bohr. He'll try the same move and... Oh, is he just... no, not quite. I thought maybe Brazina was just going to let him pass after all these incidents. But, Bohr still right on the tail. Can't quite look to the inside. Just looking at tyre life of these two drivers. Bohr pitted on lap 20, Brazina at lap 18, so small difference, isn't going to make a massive impact though. And can he look to the inside? Not quite. Prieto is only 8 tenths behind these two, just while we can catch our breaths. A very interesting story, I think, developing. Jorge Montagne, P4 currently still hasn't pitted, so it's pretty clear he's going to do the one stop. He is currently lapping about 2 seconds a lap slower than Calistani, just behind an Enric Andre who was fighting earlier on. But right now, Marco, that strategy for Montañez seems to be working quite well. I think he might really profit from this.
I'm pulling for him because I want to see crazy stuff that nobody else does, and we'll see. You are right, he's going for the one stopper at this point, since we are 4 laps away from the halfway point. As we see, another driver that hasn't stopped is Kleber Toffoli. Is now in from P15, so he's a little bit back. We will see if Montañez will split his race exactly in half. So if he will stop on lap 30, or if he's going to try to have a little bit shorter stint in the final part of the race by stopping, for example, on lap 32, 33. But it's going to be 2 very, very long stints for him. So it's going to be tough, but you stop one time less than the others, so you still gain a little bit of time, and you have to manage that advantage later on.
Well, his main rivals, I think, is the driver who we're currently watching, Michael Parkinson, who's had an interesting day. Let's say he started high up on the grid and in P4, and should really be fighting for a podium right now, but a spin early on after trying to be overtaken by, I think it was Harrison Finch who tried to overtake him, just plugged his wheel ever so slightly, sent him in a half spin, dropped him down about 5 places, and another incident that we saw not too long ago during the pack that are just behind these drivers currently. But Parkinson trying to make his way up through the field once again. This would be the second time he's overtaken Rasmussen. Also had a really long pit stop did Parkinson, replacing his front wing, but there he goes. And I think Rasmussen knows that there's no point in fighting this one. He's probably about a second a lap faster as Parkinson, so no point in defending. And through goes Parkinson into P7 now. Still really close between Brazina, Boa and Prieto, by the way, and actually even closer here, Montañez and Andre, once again, really close. And down the inside goes Andre Montañez, hasn't pitted yet. And he's lost out there. These two were fighting earlier on. And will be a fascinating one later on to see who wins out of this battle between the two-stopper and the one-stopper, because they seem very equal on natural pace.
Yeah, Montañez still going on, lap 28, so I think he is going to wait at least until lap 30 to maybe do, as I said, a split strategy, 30 laps and 30 laps. I mean, his tires must be second-hand right now, or even worse than that, because 30 laps, or 28 for that matter, are a lot, especially since the more recent change in tire compounds in this car that iRacing did a couple of seasons ago. And now he has a big gap behind to Michael Patterson. And we haven't talked much about our leader because he's really checked out. Kevin Ellis Jr., 11 seconds ahead of second position. Really, really a good, nice Sunday drive for him.
Yeah, he hasn't had overwhelming pace over his rivals.
Oh man!
Oh dear.
I won't talk anymore. But
No, they've been terrible in the past few days in our case, they don't. Yeah, Kevin has been not a hell of a lot faster than his rivals, Harrison Finch. I think it's been kind of maybe 2/10 a lap, but just every lap. And that's been enough to open up that gap, because Finch, of course, had that not so good start, went from second to fourth off the line. And by the time he got back into second place, he was already about 6 seconds behind. But it's pretty clear that Ellis Jr. has got this one in hand, and Montañez is now into the pits. So a little bit before the halfway mark, not surprising, because the track should rubber in, should help that that tire wear ever so slightly, and also, of course, the fuel will be lower, so shouldn't stress the tires too much either. Of course, Jimmy Fluke on the chat's been saying how he's surprised that not more drivers are trying the one stop, and it will be interesting to see how this race plays out for Montañez. Problem now for Montañez is actually no. He's got a lot of clear air. It's worked out pretty well for him, Marco. He's got 10 seconds now to really just push, or maybe not push, excessively hard, but he's got a bit of space now. He's not going to get caught up in traffic, and maybe he could get the overcut on Andre before Andre's final stop.
yeah, I see a car in front of him. Maybe it's a lapped car. I think I see some damage on Benjamin Lindsay's car. I think was catching a glimpse maybe of some front wing damage, or no, sorry, it was Victor Prieto's car has damage on the front wing. Pretty clearly, that's gonna cost him some time at the next stop. At least that's what's going on my screen.
Yeah, I can't see. I'm not seeing too much, to be honest, but Prieto actually made that move on Bohr, so we missed that one, I think. But Prieto did manage to get back past Bohr, because Prieto has already made contact with Brezina. Brezina's done an awesome job to hang on to that position ahead of these three cars. Queuing up behind Benjamin Lindsay has joined this part, so really out of nowhere, but he's been lapping kind of 0.8 a second faster. I don't think that's necessarily been overwhelming pace over these drivers. It's just they hasn't been fighting, and once again, Prieto too far behind, heading on to the hangar straight, and he's nowhere near the back of Brezina's car. Brezina a little bit wide there. Now he's going to have to defend going into club. Can Prieto go down the inside? Not too close in the end, and once again wide, and he's just inviting the pressure right now. And here comes Prieto. He's going to have the DRS defending early.
They touch, maybe.
Brezina. A small touch, perhaps. Prieto ran the outside and getting involved just behind. Somehow not contact between the three of them. And in the end, no change of position, although Prieto could go down the inside here. Down the inside he goes, not quite. And wide again, though. And Prieto's going to go down the inside. Are they going to touch again? For the third time? Defending for all he's worth is Jan Brezina on the inside. And, Parkinson spun it. So it's going to be a five-way battle any second now. But Parkinson should be okay, and Prieto's through in the end. Wow, Brezina lost out, but Parkinson, what on earth happened to him? Another spin. It's pretty much third instant of the race. And Oh, that was quite intense.
Yeah, so a big plum of smoke and a car going very slow, so pretty clearly a speed for Michael Partington. And he did not need that at all. Yeah, we see, ooh, very close with Rasmussen. I think the last thing you want to see when you are battling against other 3-4 drivers in a pack is to have a stationary car coming out of the final corner.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wonder if it maybe distracted Brezina ever so slightly because he kind of lost out that position in the end. Maybe, well, I think that may have just been the tyres, to be honest. He did pit a couple of laps earlier than his rivals. In fact, 4 laps earlier than Prito, who should be able to pull away quite handily now. Although Prito's on the back of Partington now. So Partington, I wonder if he's overheated those tyres slightly now, Marco, due to that big slide of his. And now, from pulling away quite handily, he's well, I find it quite funny. He's going to have to pass Nicholas Rasmussen now for the 3rd time, but he's got to deal with Prieto in the imminent future.
Yeah, an eventful race, to say the least, for car number 5. And now I see again the damage on Victor Prieto car is still there on my screen, so I think he has some kind of front wing damage, but it is not affecting him that much. But we saw the same, I think, with Partington as well before. He was running very good. Then, of course, he had to lose the time at the pits for the front wing change. So even if when it's a slight damage, little damage like that, it doesn't seem to affect you that much during the race and in mid corners or on the straights. But you have no option but to change the front wing at the pits, so it's going to be interesting. I think he's going to try to make a move on Partington right now.
Well, that late stop for Prieto, he pitted in on lap 22, and I thought maybe it didn't work too well for him. But actually, I think because he was in fresh air during those laps, and Partington's off, so Partington's, I think, had enough or something. Or maybe he has had a hardware failure, but he just went straight on that. Really odd one. It's chaos just behind Bohr, still trying to go for the move on Brezina, and Bohr and Lindsay, I think, running into each other potentially. Here they are, Bohr around the outside. Lindsay, I think, has made up that position. Bohr has just got stuck behind Brezina for so many laps, but here he comes again, does the dummy. But he can't quite find the inside there, and just has to back out of it in the end. Good move from Lindsay.
And we saw Lindsay have a little bit of a moment coming out of the first corner. Bohr
Awesome
has to back out. Yeah. And we see Partington is back on track. So he's once again trying to gain some ground. It's been his entire race making a mistake, making up ground, making a mistake and making up ground, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so what happened to Partington?
I saw him go straight.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, sorry. Short-term memory.
No, I don't know if he had a lockup or if he misjudged his braking point because we were focusing on we see Brezina off track at the moment. Yeah, doing some gardening work.
Bohr finally makes his way past. He's been locked in there for about 10 laps trying to make the move, and it's cost him a couple positions as well. And just when Brezina has a bit of time off, and that was an odd one. No lockup seemingly, and just went straight across the grass. That's not going to help the underside of his car, and he's lost out to Bohr, and Partington's just behind him as well. Partington now with 4 offs in this event. We remind you, he's a good enough driver, you know, to finish on the podium at the very least. You know, he's a World Championship Grand Prix driver, and in the top 25, and an excellent driver is Michael Parkinson. Of course, had an awesome run in the World's Fastest Gamer competition where he finished, I think, 3rd in the standings, very nearly qualified for the finals of that. In the end, just losing out to I can't actually remember who he lost it out to, but it was a very closely fought series, and that was when he really popped up on the scene. Did well to qualify for the championship, and has been doing a pretty good job. But today, not the race he wanted whatsoever. And actually, just like to point out Victor Prieto. I don't know if you can see his lap times, Marco, but he is absolutely on fire because he pitted some 6 laps later than Nicholas Rasmussen and Enric Andre and Matteo Calastani. He's, you know, almost a second a lap faster, half a second a lap faster than these guys. And by the end of this event, he's got 16 seconds to make up on Andre, but with the way he's going, he could maybe get this, you know?
Yeah, he's looking really good. I'm also keeping an eye on Jorge Montañez's lap times, and he's doing his best laps of the race. If you remember, he stopped on lap 28 on a one-stop strategy, probably. But yeah, Victor Prieto looking very big in Niklas Rasmussen mirrors, and they will maybe have the DRS right now down the Anger Straight, trying to set up a move.
Yeah, you can see how much more confident he is in that car. Just the front end so much earlier on the power. Well, you look to the inside here at Club. Just has to back off in the end. We'll get DRS, of course, for Abbey. There's not really much point in Nicholas Rasmussen fighting this one. Prieto should really be a long way further up the road. And to the outside he goes. He's making this one a little bit more difficult for himself with Victor Prieto. He's going to have to back out there. Maybe could have gone to the inside, but he committed early to the outside and looks to the inside now at Bridge. To the inside he goes. Still a bit of defense actually put up by Rasmussen. We've got a couple of cars coming into the pits and Prieto down the inside. Oh, and is there going to be contact? There was contact. And just running wide in the end was Rasmussen. Prieto didn't have to make that move quite so urgently, but he wanted to get it done. And into the pits goes Rasmussen now.
Yeah, wise decision by Rasmussen to pit right now, because we are on lap 36, so checking if there's any damage and maybe changing tires and going from now until the end of the race. Also, we see Parkinson in the pits. So some of the drivers are doing their second stop.
Yeah, this on lap, what, 35 then for these drivers. So, no, sorry, they pitted in on lap 34, sorry. So, yeah, very early for these drivers. Clearly want to get a bit of an undercut. Parkinson's just been in the wars. And Rasmussen is going to be struggling against that big pack behind him by the end of this event. But hopefully that strategy works for him. Domingo is now in. He last pitted. I think I just missed that actually. But Domingo, I think, pitted on lap 16 last time. So he was one of the early stoppers. But he's been able to go decently far on this one. Calastani coming in. Finch staying out. So Finch has already pitted, sorry. So Finch pitted a couple of laps ago and will inherit that second place once again. Interesting how early a lot of these drivers are pitting in comparison to a couple of the drivers in the midfield, like Prieto, Lindsay and Bohr, who are staying out a little bit longer, Marco. But these top runners seem to be wanting to pit in a little bit before that kind of 20 lap threshold.
I think they are playing it safe and not doing anything crazy, because they know that if they keep their strategy like going right now, they are going to finish in a good top 5 position. The guys behind them have got to be creative, as Kevin Ellis Jr. pitted on lap 18 the first time around.
Quite an interesting one, I think, is Jorge Montañez. Pitted, of course, with the one stop, and he's already he's about 6 seconds behind Enric Andre. So they were fighting in the opening stages, and I must say, I don't think that strategy for Montañez has really worked, because despite saying some decent lap times, he's lost out to his main rival, and from fighting early on in the final in the first kind of 15 laps, Marco, for the top 5, he's going to do well to get a top 8 now.
Yeah, maybe the cliff was too much. We were talking about pushing these tires for almost 30 laps, and don't forget, he has to do that again one more time. So with one more lap, because he stopped, I think, on lap 28, sorry. So he has to do now 32 laps on these tires, and maybe he needs to look behind more than ahead.
Yeah, I think he'll be looking behind him for the entire race, unfortunately, because it's going to be a big disadvantage in comparison to a couple of the other drivers out there with his tyres. Michael Parkinson trying to get past Jan Brezina. I think this one might be for the third time. And coming out to the pits, this is important, actually. And just ahead goes Rob Bohr. So that's quite important because this is 4th position. No more stops for all these drivers to the end of the race. So Parkinson's got to get it done on the track. Now, defensive goes Bohr. Can Parkinson just go to the inside? Not too much defense by Bohr. And down the inside goes Parkinson. But maybe doesn't feel like he needs to defend too much. And yeah, maybe I'm not sure how desperate Bohr is to hang on to that one, Marco. But he could have defended a lot harder. Maybe he feels like Parkinson's just too quick because, like I keep on banging on, Parkinson should be in the top 3 or so, but just too many incidents and he's down here. But I think that may have been a smart decision by Bohr just to let past Parkinson because he's bound to lose out anyway.
Well, they say you have to pick your own battles sometime, and that was a smart move by Rob Bohr. Of course, we want to see wheel-to-wheel battles all the time, but the drivers, their main job is to get the result at the end of the day. So, good decision, and now we'll see Partington if he can put again a show for us and try to get as many positions as possible.
Yeah, he's certainly a man on a mission. Maybe could get, well, he's going to have to get Brezina here. So let's see if he can get him through down the hang straight. Brezina's been notoriously difficult to overtake. They've already made contact quite significantly, these two, at the Luffields, if I'm correct. Parkinson maybe too far behind going into Clubby. Didn't make up too much time down the hanger straight. Coming up to the, once again, really struggling through that corner is Brezina, although to be fair, he gets a pretty good exit from the club. Now, will he defend down into Abbey? He's not going to have to defend because Parkinson is far too... there's a long way back. Can he get the acceleration maybe down into Bridge? It's unlikely. But this one, it shouldn't be too long, I think, for Brezina to fend this one off because Parkinson should have quite significantly... should have quite a lot more pace, I think, and similar tyres, this should be pretty simple for Parkinson.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll get him this lap, getting a much better corner exit in basically all of the corners of the track. We see Brezina trying to use as much of the track as possible, whilst Partington is very clean with his lines.
By the way, Kevin S. Jr. did pit a few laps ago, I think. Our race leader, but he's a long way out in the lead. And actually, Parkinson, I think, has just got that move done on Brezina, and not too much defense put up by Brezina. No, so Parkinson up into P10. But yeah, Kevin S. Jr. did pit. He's 14 seconds ahead of Harrison Finch, and 16 seconds, sorry, and should be fine to go to the end and just set his fastest lap of the race as well. So he's very happy out there. Here was the move from Michael Parkinson. And that time, Jan Brezina did not defend too much. Will be pleased, I think, to just beat Rob Bohr, who's going to have to make that move on Brezina once again after overtaking him at the end of the second stint. An undercut for Brezina got him back ahead of Bohr. And yeah, Bohr's going to have to make that move back again. Rasmussen versus Lindsay. These two, of course, don't need to pit again. Only got a couple more drivers actually who do need to pit again. We just got, I think it's just Victor Prieto who needs to pit one more time in P4 currently. He'll be very quick at the end. We'll be practicing these two later on. But for now, Rasmussen versus Lindsay. Lindsay's looked strong actually, hasn't he, Marco? After running in the opening stages, kind of in P14, P15, he benefited from battling with other cars, and now just seems to have a lot of pace in that car.
Yeah, we'll see if Rasmussen will defend. He gives him way. Let's see if he moves again at the chicane. Dummy move, left, right. and he files in behind. So good move for Lindsay. Now we'll see if we will be able to catch Montañez, who is lapping in the 24-1. So a hell of a lot faster by Lindsay. We've got 19 to go, so there is time. And Victor Preto comes in. We will see if he has front wing damage or not.
Yeah, and he should come out around that battle. So actually, probably not, because his pace was so good at the end of that last stint. So in the low 24s, which is, well, I guess maybe half a second slower than Rasmussen. But you know what? I think Preto might be able to come out here still in P7. We'll wait to see if Lindsay can get past, although he's taking a front wing. So a longer pit stop, and he has lost out to Rasmussen and Parkinson. Will he stay ahead of... he's lost out. He's lost out big time as Preto, hasn't he? So after making all those overtakes earlier on, he's back down to P12. Going to be absolutely flying now to the end of the event on really fresh tyres. Just wait for him to just go straight past these guys. Should be a second and a half a lap faster than Bohr and Brezina ahead. But that's frustrating for Victor Preto, because he was looking strong for a top 6 there, but maybe a top 8 is going to be as far as he gets.
And now we see Kevin Ellis Jr. 1:29.98 is the first driver to go down the 1:22 mark. Of course, he's the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, 17 seconds ahead of Harrison Finch, who should actually commend quite a lot for his performance. He's some 16 seconds ahead of Manu Domingo, but he's thoroughly been second best to date. But after a bit of a poor start, like I've already mentioned, he recovered well, made a little bit of contact with Michael Parkinson, and but then made the move pretty easily on Domingo, and has been a very solid second place since then. Andre actually managed to jump Kalastani in the pits. We didn't see that one, or maybe it wasn't even in the. Maybe it was in the pits. I'm not quite sure, but they did pit around that sequence. At least Andre pitted 1 lap earlier than Kalastani, so yeah, that's looking good for Andre. Although Kalastani is looking maybe to get back. Bohr, by the way, has just got past Brezina. Just saw that on the timing screen, and there he is. So Brezina, after defending so much in this race, I swear, Marco, he spent the entire race just defending against other drivers. But frustratingly for Brezina, it looks as though he's going to finish right at the bottom of this big pack.
And Lindsay is gaining 1 second per lap on Montañez. So this is going to be an interesting battle to watch until the end of the race, if he can catch up to the guy in front of him.
He's looking strong, isn't he? Remember, Lindsay is on tyres, well, only 9 laps newer, so it's not a massive difference. But of course, Montañez doing the 1 stop, and Lindsay on the 2. And actually, I think Preto should get past Brezina, shouldn't he? And Bohr. And then he might be able to challenge Partington, Rasmussen, and he could still get P7, I think, could Preto. I think we could probably just run on board with Preto till the end of the race. I think it should be quite entertaining, because he is going to be an absolute rocket ship. And here is victim number 1, Jan Brezina. He's really struggling out there. Big difference in the tyre age, 5 laps between these two, and Preto's just been a lot faster throughout this event now. Where would you say he's going to make the move, Marco? Does he have to make it instantly? Because if he is going to get to that P7, like I said, he has not got to lose any time whatsoever.
No, it's going to be very aggressive in the S2, because we only have 16 laps to go. So every opportunity he gets, it has to try to make the pass. And we see now Brezina goes a little bit wide, and pass number 1 is complete.
Yeah, that's the second time Brezina's done that. He lost out a few positions early on in the stint 2 of the race by going straight across Abbey. So that's 1 done. And next up will be Rob Bohr, which should be easy as well. Nicholas Rasmussen is under big pressure from Michael Parkinson. Just 3/10 between those two. Of course, as I keep on saying, Parkinson is very quick. World Championship Grand Prix driver, so should be able to make this one quite easily. And then he'll have a bit of a gap, 3 seconds to make up on Lindsay, and then he'll have Montagna. So it could be 3 offs for Michael Partington, Marco. He could still get P6, which would be an awesome effort, I think. But here he goes. He should be able to get this one pretty easy. Rasmussen's been very civil in this event, and down the inside goes Partington, interstate and 3. But yeah, if Partington could get P6 here, Marco, that would be a very good effort considering all that he's encountered today.
Yeah, Rasmussen, basically, I think this is the third or fourth time that he has been passed by Partington, so he's just moving away at this stage of the race because he knows the difference in pace that these two guys have. I'm expecting a lot from Partington in these final laps of the race. He's going to push really hard. Of course, he wants to make up for his many mistakes, problems that he had. So it is not impossible to go and catch the drivers he has in front. So we have to look at him, and we also have to look at what can happen with Montañez and Lindsay.
Yeah, on that last lap, Lindsay made up 1.2 seconds on Montagna. So if that gap keeps on coming down, it's only 5.5 seconds, and we'll be able to see them crossing the same shot. So Lindsay, and then Partington just in the background, and Rasmussen behind that. So they're all charging him down, and yeah, Lindsay will be yeah, in one sense, of course, thinking, oh, I need to push hard to catch up to Montañez. In another sense, we'll be thinking Partington and Prizzo will be chasing him down just behind, so needs to certainly keep that intensity up, and it's great to see so many cars in the same shot, even at this late stage in the event.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, but of course, on one end, you want to preserve your tires because you are not stopping again from now until the end of the race, but you risk getting involved in a battle with the guys behind you. So I think if I was Benjamin, I would push really hard because I think that Jorge is in really big trouble. He is lapping 124.0 and Benjamin just did a 122.9, so he is closing the gap and he will be onto him in a matter of a few laps.
Yeah, and Montañez right now is really in a tough place, isn't he? Because, like I said, his pace is a long way off. If you were Montañez here, would you fight Lindsay? Because we've seen overtaking really difficult round here. He could maybe repel him for a few laps. Remember, he'll only probably have to repel him for about maybe 5 or 6 laps to hold on to that position. Or would you just let him have it? Because otherwise, if they do start fighting, all of a sudden Partington, Rasmussen and Prizzo will all be onto the back of them.
Well, when I started racing on simulators back in 2002, 2003, and I moved to NASCAR, NASCAR Racing 2003, NASCAR Racing 4, one of the first things that were taught to me was if you see a guy that's faster than you and he's coming behind you, let him by, because if you start fighting him, another guy gets behind you, and another guy gets behind you, and another guy gets behind you, then you make a mistake, and then you get passed by 5 cars and you lose 5 positions in one corner. So I would not fight him. I mean, especially if I know that my tires are making me lap 1.5 seconds lower than the guy I have behind. There's really no point in doing that.
Yeah, certainly. And yeah, I think he might be, hopefully, of course, if you're listening, Jorge, I doubt you are, but yeah, maybe listen to that advice because he could still get a P7, I think. I think that's going to be as good as it gets. Or he could potentially finish outside the, maybe even outside the top 10 potentially. Here is a guy who does not want to finish outside the top 10. It's Victor Peter. He's struggled to make as much progress as we hoped he would after a long final pit stop where he lost about 5 seconds in the pits. And my goodness, that was close there. And he's going to be too far behind, surely down into Abbey, although a little bit wide for Bohr. they couldn't quite get the traction down there. He's not going to be close enough this time. I really thought he'd be past Bohr a lot faster than this, Marco, and it's cost him bad this, because he should be able to get Bohr, I think, by the end of this race. He could get Rasmussen, but I think Partington and those couple of drivers are too far ahead of him now for him to catch.
Yeah, he needs to make quick work of Rob Bohr, and he didn't do that, of course. You see he's going very deep into the corners. He has...
He's lost
around.
So frustrating for Victor Puto, and he's going to lose out to Jan Brezina, who he's going to have to overtake for a third time now. So frustrating for Puto, because he's been right up there in pace, but after a not so good qualifying, or a not so good start, sorry, maybe went a little bit too far in his first stint, put him out of position, and then had to take a new front wing at his second stint. And yeah, all of that has really cost him.
That was a great shot from the onboard that we had, because in the previous two corners, he went in very, very deep. He was driving on the edge. And then the final corner maybe was a little bit too early on the gas, too eager to push and try to pass his opponent, and he lost the car. So great camera work, because we saw he was in desperation mode trying to make that overtake.
Yeah, and you could see how he was desperate to get onto that power really hard, really early, and make the move down into Cop's corner, but unfortunately he couldn't. And yeah, was just a little bit over aggressive with the throttle. Now, how aggressive will Benjamin Lindsay be? He is under a second now behind Jorge Montañez. He will have DRS surely come the hangar straight. He's got significantly better tyres. He's consistently a second and a quarter a lap faster. And with, 11 laps to go, he's, not got too much further to go. He's not going to get any further than that. He's got another 13 seconds up to Kalastani, and they're pretty equal pace to one another. So that's not going to happen. But if he can get Montañez now, that P6 would be very good for a driver who started down in P14. And if he doesn't get this one done, of course, then Partington's going to be on his case. And no one wants that, do they, Marco?
No. Let's see. I think that Jorge will fight a little bit, but he will be very, very smart. If he sees that he cannot hold him back. I mean, again, look at the lap times. 1 second difference between the two cars. So unless Benjamin makes a mistake due to over-eagerness, I think he should be passed really quickly. And we see also Parkinson is 2.6 seconds behind Lindsay, so you need to be quick and make a move.
Again, that corner it caught out Partington all by himself, didn't it? It's a difficult one, isn't it? Seemingly the understeer not too bad, but just getting the throttle down. And in these cars, you've got to get under the throttle kind of mid-corner, haven't you? And a lot of drivers struggling with that.
You see now, this time 124.2 for Montañez, 123.8 for Lindsay, so the aero push getting in the way, especially in the corners. But now he has the DRS, and he will probably have to make a move on the inside here. Montañez says no.
Now he might be able to go to the inside. Clubface and go to the outside. I'm not really sure if he's defending here as Montañez. And down the inside, that was very awkward. And all of a sudden, Partington's going to get involved in this one. You're talking about an error from Lindsay, and he's just kind of overcomplicated this one. He still can't get the move done. And, I don't really know if I can say he should have done that any differently, but I thought, if anything, he could have maybe had the inside for club, but he committed so early to the outside that it became a very difficult, and now he's got Partington all over the back of him.
And you see, again, just like before, he's getting very deep into the corner, so he wants to make the move. He sees now Partington in his rear view mirrors. So it's now or never for him. He has to make the pass in this lap.
Yeah, he's gonna have to course, Rasmussen's not too far behind these guys either. He's only another kind of 4 seconds behind. And Lindsay, again, not that close. 9 laps between the age of the tyres, and I think he's gone this time, actually. Lindsay to the inside. He should be able to get this one. Made it very difficult for himself, but he has now made that move. Any response from Montañez? I doubt it. Looks to the inside. And but for now, Lindsay gets that move done. And Montañez is going to be prey now to Partington. And there's no point in him fighting that one. I'm not sure if this strategy has worked out for Montañez because, like I was saying earlier, he was running in the top 6, and since then he's really struggled, hasn't he, Marco? And yeah, I don't think this strategy has worked for him today.
No, it hasn't worked, but props for him for trying something different and spicing up the final part of the race. Sadly, of course, now he's basically a moving chicane, so that's bad for him. But no guts, no glory, like they say, right? So maybe next time you will learn from this and do a different strategy next week.
Yeah, of course, next week. I don't actually know where we are next week, to be honest, but it'll be a 2/3 race. I think that's how it works, at least, but it won't be a full-length race, but so unfortunately, it might just be a dull one-stopper. But this race so far has been absolutely superb with the defensive strategy, even though we've only had a couple of drives go for the one-stopper. Just when drives have been pitting, it's been very interesting as well. Here comes Michael Partington. To the inside he goes with the DRS, and very simple for Partington. And that hope of maybe a top 6 still alive. He needs to try to catch up to Benjamin Lindsay, who's already pulled out about 1.7 seconds. That's catchable for Partington, isn't he? Isn't it? He's got, what, 8 more laps to go? And yeah, got to really get on it now, and he could still claim that P6.
Yeah, he's got some laps in hands, and he's got 2 lap fresher tires, so not that much, but you can get you get any advantage you can get. So I think that Partington could catch Lindsay for the end of the race.
By the way, Victor Pucci managed to get the move done on Jan Brezina. Didn't actually see that one live. I didn't see it on my timing screen at the time either. I think we're too busy watching this battle. But yeah, Pucci managed to move up into P11. There he is. And he could still get maybe Rob Bohr. He's, well, on that last lap, he was 0.8 quicker than Bohr. And you know what? And actually, here was the overtake. So, yeah, Prieto, much better traction. This was the move that he was trying to do earlier on, which put him into a spin. And they went to the outside. And very simple on Brezina. He's seemingly going to finish this race in P12. But currently, Prieto 22.9. Bohr 23.8. Rasmussen 24.2. And Montañez 24.8. So, on that last lap, nearly 2 seconds faster for Prieto. He could be close to Montañez by the end of this race, despite that spin for him.
He really could, and that's of course will make Victor have some regrets at the end of the race, because that mistake was completely avoidable. Of course, in the heat of the moment, it's totally human to make these kinds of mistakes. But we've seen some very fast drivers today make a lot of big mistakes that cost them quite a bit of time and quite a lot of positions. And I was not expecting that. I mean, I was used to what happened yesterday at the World Championship race, where everybody was so calm and cool and collected and focused on finishing the race. While today we have seen some loss of concentrations and some pretty aggressive driving, which I am totally for, to be clear.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, of course, it kind of just shows the level of the pros. These drivers in this series are really good drivers. Remember, we're watching. Of course, all viewers at home or whatever. Don't know if you're familiar with the iRacing system, of course, but the majority of the drives that we've been following in the midfield, we've got Montañez 5.2k, Partington 5.3, Rasmussen 5.3, Bohr 3.9, Prieto 4.8. That's the quality of drivers here. Probably in the top 1,000 drivers on iRacing. out of, you know, all like 80,000 of them or whatever. And it shows how difficult it is and how difficult it is to kind of elevate yourself to the pro level. It is really good drives in this series. Of course, we haven't been talking about too much about the leaders. Of course, we've got Kevin S. Jr. leading with talked about him a little bit. So too, Harrison Finch, Manu Domingo in third position currently. That's Enric Andre, who's done really well. Started in P7, got a good start into P6, I think. And yeah, he's done an awesome job to move up into P4 out there currently. Matteo Calastani, we haven't really seen him at all on the camera, but there he is coming out of state in P5. And then, of course, the battles that we've been watching, Benjamin Lindsay in P6. But that top five, we've seen a couple of changes for position, haven't we, Marco? But that top five, not too much battling in there, but all those drivers have put together performances, maybe which would kind of be more accustomed to the World Championship Grand Prix Series, because they've been absolutely faultless throughout this event.
Absolutely 100% agree with you. And maybe that's the difference between those drivers and the other drivers. Like you said, this is absolutely not a way to talk bad about the drivers that are P6, 7, 8, etc. These are all amazing drivers. And just like we had on Wednesday when we broadcasted the Le Mans Series top split, you cannot even imagine how many good drivers were left out of this top split. So this is the best of the best. But yeah, you sometimes when you are a world championship driver, you kind of get that mentality that maybe drivers that have never raced in the world championship do not have. So when you are in the world championship, you are racing and it's one and done. It's not like you make a mistake and 2 hours later you can patch it back up with another race with a decent strength of field. The world championship, it's one race, and if you make a mistake, you make a mistake and that's your race over and you got 0 points. You have to wait a couple of weeks to get back and redeem yourself. So this is why these top drivers are so consistent, so precise, and rarely make a mistake.
Yeah, it is super impressive. And here's Victor Prito. So, Bob Bohr, third time lucky. Yeah, third time he'll have to overtake Bohr. And there's no point in Rob now letting him pass. He may as well fight as hard as he possibly can. Although, I'm going to contradict myself here. He's got Nicholas Rasmussen just ahead. Bohr half a second a lap faster than Rasmussen. And then Montañez just ahead of that, who's lapping a further half a second a lap, but slower. So, another difficult situation here for Bohr. Does he let Prito past and hope that they can both catch up to P8 and P9? Or does he fight as hard as he can and try to hang on to that P10?
I would do the first strategy. I would maybe fight a little bit, but if I see that Victor is faster than me, and I think Rob knows that, let him by and let's hope that Victor and Niklas can battle against each other, and then so you can gain ground on them and maybe gain a couple of positions.
Down the inside goes Prito. That was a bit late. And whoa, around the outside. Okay, look to the inside now. Prito not quite tried to go for the dummy. And this has already lost them enough time maybe to mean that they're going to be too far behind. I think this is going to be 59 laps for these drivers. Because I think they've only got one more after this, because they are a lap down on Kevin S. Jr. So that must be really frustrating for these two, because another lap and they could have really threatened Nicholas Rasmussen and Jorge Montañez up ahead, because they are now fighting just ahead. Kevin S. Jr. is about to start his final lap though. About to go on to oh sorry, no, he's got 2 more laps. No, I'm not thinking now. So 2 more laps to go for all these drivers. And Montañez and Parkinson are really close, sorry.
I think this is the final lap for Kevin.
Oh, it is the final lap. Okay. So it's been an awesome drive for him. And here's really the main battle out there. Well, we've got another battle, of course, but Rasmussen Can he get the move on Montañez? In the DRS zone. Big difference in the tyre age of these two. Looks to the inside, that's so late from Rasmussen. But he can't quite make it, he's still right on the tail, somehow didn't lose time. And defensive from Montañez, this is losing them so much time. Could the other two get involved in this one? Wider line for Rasmussen, he's going to get such a drive though. Down into Alpine, he's lost it, it's in the wall. Oh, it was the traction again. And he's lost out there. But it's Kevin Ayres Jr. He has not had any traction issues whatsoever all day. Peter, by the way, managed to get past Port, but Ayres Jr. has been absolutely faultless today. He is 25 seconds clear of the rest of the field, really showing his class. And the Apex Racing driver is going around the final corner, going into Woodcote, and he's going to take week 1 of this series. Awesome drive from Kevin Ellis Jr. And a long way back at Aston Finch, last season's champion, and this P2 for him in this strength of field race is going to really help his bid for this Grand Prix Series, and he'll approach the final corner. I think we've had that midfield all come through already. Finch crosses the line to finish in P2. I'm just waiting for Manu Domingo and a couple of others before everyone has finished. But that was a great race, Marco. I thoroughly enjoyed that. One of the best fun I think I've had on a commentary before. The strategy was awesome, and the pace differential between the cars was fantastic. We only had 19 cars out there, and for pretty much all the race, we were pretty much just focusing on 8 of them, but they provided an awesome battle out there, didn't they?
Absolutely, it's the proof that you may not have the most exciting battle up front, but the mid-pack guys and the rear of the field guys are as entertaining and as great to have on board as the top driver in the front. So we were absolutely gifted with beautiful battles, overtakes, mistakes, moves on the outside, dummies, and different strategies. I really enjoyed this race, and it was a really good one. And congratulations, of course, to Kevin, because that was a masterful job winning this race.
Yeah, definitely. And we can now go through the final standings, I believe. So, Kevin S. Jr. takes the race victory from pole position. Harrison Finch in second place, 26.5 seconds behind in P2 after starting on the front row. Manu Domingo was very reliable in P3. He started third as well. 48 seconds off the lead, and then a minute off the lead. Enric Andre, he did a great job actually to move up from 7th on the grid. Managed to get the jump on Matteo Calastani in that final pit stop sequence, and he manages to finish it in 4th position. And then Calastani, very good drive from him as well in 5th. Benjamin Lindsay, he did a really good job. Started 14th, didn't have a brilliant start, and actually at the midway points of the race, he was outside the top 12, and yet he managed to finish in P6, really strong at the end, and probably had possibly the best strategic calls throughout the event. Michael Parkinson, what could have been for him? P4 on the grid, 4 offs in the end. He'll be glad just to come home with a P7. Jorge Montañez finishes in 8th, pulling off the one stop. Maybe wasn't the best strategy. Started in 5th place, and despite making no mistakes, ends up in 8th. He might regret that decision, but still did well to hang on. Victor Prieto, what could have been for him? That P6 was really possible for him, but a mistake and a long final pit stop replacing his front wing cost him. He ends up in 9th. Rob Bohr pretty much just spent the race being overtaken by other drivers, but was really reliable out there in 10th. Jan Brezina spent a lot of the race just defending as well in 11th. Niklas Rasmussen fighting with Jorge Montañez in the closing stages, crashed at the club chicane, and he finishes in P12. Stefan Schmidt, we didn't see too much of that driver in 13th, but still good drive from 12th on the grid. Jose Fabian, I think, had a couple of issues early on, finishes in 14th. Ronaldo Augusto in 15th. Luca Furlick in 16th. Michele Constantini, he struggled a little bit with the strategy out there in 17th, and had a couple of incidents. Kleber Topilo in 18th. And I'll let Marco pronounce the final runner in the field.
Yeah, Pablo Lumbrera Suarez finished 3 laps down, and he was the last driver on track P19. So this is the roundup, and I think we have a driver waiting for an interview.
Yeah, I think we'll just have the one today because I think we've got a very tired broadcaster. But yeah, we'll just have a couple of questions with Kevin S. Jr. Brilliant drive from you, mate. And was it easy for you out there? Was it difficult, or was it difficult to kind of keep up the concentration because you were absolutely dominant?
Yeah, hey guys. Today was actually pretty tough. That weather was something I hadn't practiced, and I expected the tires to hang on pretty good there. But no, they were pretty weird. Like I was getting a lot of understeer from entry to center of the corner, then just massive oversteer coming off the corner. So that was kind of tough to manage throughout the race, and just trying to keep the car on the road because I was still going to push because I found that if I didn't push to my absolute maximum, the tires sort of fell off a bit and the car became even worse. So I really had to kind of push to my maximum every single lap to try and keep the tires feeling decent, I guess. But yeah, no, for the most part, it was pretty simple in that respect. But yeah, it was hard to try and keep the tires in a good spot.
Yeah, definitely. And were you considering maybe mixing up your strategy at all, like go for the one stop? May have been, a little bit useful just to see if that was possible, or do you think that one stop was just impossible and it was kind of no point in trying it?
Well, I said to David at the start, we'd just decide as we go. We'd see what the pace was like. If I had a big enough gap, I was going to two-stop anyway. But we thought, I would just drive, see how it feels. And I think Harrison and the rest of them came in at the end of 15 or so, and yeah, the tires were just falling off more and more. And I was like, yeah, there's no chance of me one-stopping this. No amount of in-car adjustments can save this. So no, ultimately we just stayed with the majority of the field, and we knew we'd win with the two-stop anyway if I didn't bin it. So yeah, we just stuck to the strategy, didn't try anything special, and I just had to bring it home.
Yeah, definitely. And do you plan on being running in this series throughout this season 3, or is this just going to be a one-off and maybe just pick out the rounds that you feel will be useful for the World Championship?
I don't want to say yes, I'll do them all and then not do them. So I would just turn up to ones that I feel like racing that week. I had the setup and everything obviously already made for this track, so I was like, well, why not hop in and have a bit of fun in racing and some of the A-class guys and see who's where and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll probably turn up to most of the races this season, depending on how I feel and if we've got the setup on that ready. There's a few tracks that I feel like doing at this first half of this season, but yeah, ultimately we'll just see on a week-to-week basis if I feel like it. Then I'll turn up and have a bit of fun. But yeah, for the most part, I think the championship will be someone else's for the take, and I'm not going to try and get involved in all that.
Yeah. Yeah, before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, big thanks to all the team. Apex Racing UK, we've had a good year so far with World Championship, and getting a win here is my first one of the year and on the road, which is a bit embarrassing to admit, but yeah, we got a good result so far. So now big thanks to all the guys in Apex Racing UK. David Strid for spotting for me all season long. He's been absolutely fantastic with getting me into the pits at the right time and not getting me caught in traffic and all that good stuff. So yeah, he's been awesome behind the scenes, and of course to all the sponsors, JCL, SDK Racing. I've forgotten my sponsors, so just forget that bit.
They'll be pleased.
Yep, sorry guys, my bad.
But yeah, hopefully we'll see you at Interlagos next time, and yeah, well done once again, Kevin. Sorry for that great performance today. We've now got Harrison Finch with us, and yeah, Harrison, really good drive out there today, and in the end, Kevin was just too quick, wasn't he? So it pretty much got all that you could have got out of that, and yeah, good performance in the end.
Yeah, great drive from Kevin. There was no chance I could stay with him, even with my terrible start. But yeah, I think second was the best I could have possibly got today. So I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, and what kind of happened with that start? Was it just a bad launch off the line?
Yeah, I just got a lot of wheel spin when I put the throttle down, so I'll need to work on that because I seem to always get a bad start. I need to fix it.
Yeah, definitely, and that's going to be important for the championship potentially. Because I think Scott told me that you won the championship last season. I assume that's going to be your aim this season as well.
Yeah, hopefully. Just need to see who turns up. I'm sure if Kevin turns up for most of the races, he'll probably win it.
Yeah, he's going to be a very difficult guy to beat. But Interlagos, I think next week. Strong track for you, or not so much?
Yeah, it's probably my favourite track on iRacing, so yeah, I quite like it. Last time we did it, I wasn't too far off the pace, but that was my first proper race in the car. So yeah, should be fun.
Yeah, should definitely be a good race. Certainly looking forward to it. Apex Racing TV. And before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, just thank the team. Positive Sim Racing worked hard this week. Found a few things in the setup that really helped today. Thanks to all the sponsors.
Yeah, thanks, Harrison, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you next week at Interlagos.
Right, thanks for the stream.
So yeah, Marco, I've already said how much I've enjoyed this event, but yeah, it's really looking forward to the next 11 weeks, hopefully, that we're doing of this series. Of course, donations would be very much appreciated because yeah, we really do enjoy doing this, and it'd be great if we could do the remainder of the season.
Yeah, next week, like you said, Interlagos, and also if you are driving in the series or want to drive in the series and you have watched the broadcast and you saw that some of the drivers had, for example, their team name under their name and they had their right flag and not their club, iRacing club flag, you can just use the form that's in the McLaren MP430 forum on the iRacing forums. You can put your details in there, and next time you're racing, you will have your nice flag with your nice team name and all the cool graphics that we have for the drivers that have already made that form and gave them to us. It's a 5 seconds job, and it's really cool if you want to represent your team.
Yeah, certainly follow that link on the forums, and of course later on we have the BSR Grand Tour, so certainly tune in for that one. That'll be about 8:15. We'll be broadcasting that, but for now in this series, from me, Marco, and Scott, we will see you at Interlagos in 1 week's time for round 2 of the season. See you then.